guide, Vickie Sokol Evans.
I'm out of breath because I just did my It's Go Time song.
So Catherine, 2023, Linda, 2023, last year, 2023. Yeah, like you played a role in this. You're just as important.
Hello, everybody. Good morning. Happy Friday. It's Friday. It's Future Ready Friday, episode 28. And today I'm going to show you Copilot Superpower, how to use. Now, I have a license to Copilot, Microsoft Copilot, and so I'm going to show you I'm going to show you 3 amazing things that Copilot can do, which is a reason why you should rush to your IT department and request a license to Copilot. Hi, everyone. I'm Vickie Sokol Evans. I'm your host for Future Ready Friday. So happy to see you guys here. I'm going to go ahead and get started and make sure everybody looks like we double check everything is going. Imagine. Okay, let's just get going. So I am going to remind you what we're doing for this series. It's the Limitless Productivity Series. It's an 8-part series that is going to help you feel limitless by your technology. And I'll show you where we are in the process. In the series, we're on our 4th episode, which is actually episode 28 in the entire series. And the superpower for Copilot is that AI is grounded in the context of what you do every day and who you interact with. And that's what I love about Copilot. I know we've had former employees who have left Red Cape, gone to another company, they didn't have Copilot, and then convinced, just with one little tip, convinced their new employer to go to Copilot or get a license. So let me see if I can move it there. Perfect. So as a reminder, we're on a path, and I hesitate to say our destination is using AI as a thought partner, but that's where we're headed. We want AI as our thought partner so that we can work effortlessly with this technology. And we talked about the 80-20 rule. We want to free up the 80% so we can focus on the 20% that has higher impact. We are eliminating gray work, anything that's manual that causes us to have multiple steps and copying and pasting. Anything that you say, like, there has to be a better way. I can't believe this takes this long to do it. So part of this series is eliminating the gray work, and every time we attend a Future Ready Friday episode, we're getting 1% better every single time. So here we are on our journey. So jaw-dropping tips, free AI chat. Now we're AI work chat, and we're just moving along on our journey. And I'm going to give you 3 reasons to request a license to Copilot. Number 1, work chat. That's where it's grounded in the context of our work. This is where we're able to get information quickly and accurately. Outlook communications is going to improve our communications, and then in Teams meetings. So I'm going to show you screenshots for work chat and Teams, because I really want to get this to be a concise episode. But I'm going to spend most of my time in Outlook, because we're in Outlook every day, all day. So that's where I want to spend the majority of my time. So here's a review what we talked about in the previous episodes. And the last episode, episode 27, we talked about web chat right here. And that is, I don't want that. Let me get over here and do Control L for my laser. So with web chat, you don't need a paid Copilot license with web chat. It's completely free. It's just like ChatGPT. The back end is the GPT, OpenAI is GPT, and it is using the web for conversations. Now, with a paid license, this is where we're going outside of this free area. We're going over here to the Copilot license. I'm going to do Control L to get my laser off. And now we're going to focus on the context of, Luca is our fictitious employee. And so work chat is going to allow us to ask questions of Copilot, and it's going to search everything that Luca has access to. It's also going to allow us to use AI within the applications. And specifically, we're going to target Outlook today and Teams. But the reason why I have OneDrive, Teams, and SharePoint highlighted as well is because wherever whatever documents I have access to, if it's my documents within OneDrive or any team documents within Teams or any organization-wide documents that I have access to in SharePoint, when I ask questions of Copilot, it's going to scour everything I've access to give me the most accurate information. But I have to have a Copilot license for this to work. So I'm logged in as Luca. Remember, as we talked about last week, is that we are looking for that toggle. So if you hit the Windows key on your keyboard, so if you look down, if you have a Windows laptop, if you look down to the left of your space bar, you'll see a Windows key. Mine actually says start. I hit the start menu, or you can click on this little Windows icon. And then if you type Copilot like this, you'll see this application. So we learned last week that Copilot by itself is the personal Copilot app. And then when you see Microsoft 365 Copilot, that is the work-related app, and that's the one we're in. When you launch that, which you can do right now, you can pause this if you want, or if you have a different screen if you're on live. Just look to see if you have the Copilot toggle. If you have the Copilot toggle, you'll be able to do what I'm doing today. If you don't have the Copilot toggle, it will look like this. This is what Anna has, our fictitious person in our demo, and she did not have the toggle, which means that she does not have a paid license to Copilot. So if this is you, keep watching, because I want you to see why you want to request that license to Copilot. All right, so let's talk about Copilot Work Chat. And Lori says I should call this Fancy Friday. I love any excuse to say the word fancy because my Texas accent comes out. So thank you so much, Lori. I appreciate you. That's really cute. Yeah, I felt really festive today because Thanksgiving is coming up in a couple weeks. Okay, so Copilot Work Chat. This means that the conversations I'm having with Copilot, they're grounded in the context of my work. It also has the capability, so that's when you click on the work toggle. When you click on the three dots at the top right-hand corner right here, I want you to notice that there is that toggle right at the bottom that includes web search. That is on by default, meaning that even though you're in work chat, it is looking at everything internal that you have access to because it's using what's called the Microsoft Graph, but it also is going to include information outside of your Microsoft 365 account. So for instance, if Luke is looking for information about Microsoft Office certification and he's on work chat, it's going to look at everything we have internally about Microsoft certification, but it also is going to grab some information from outside of our tenant as well. So if Luca just really wants to narrow the scope and only look for information about what we have internally about Microsoft certification, then he will turn off that web search toggle, and that would be turned off for just the conversation that he's having. And then next time he clicks the new button here, I click there, next time he clicks the new button, then the web search toggle will be turned on. So that is just a temporary turning off. So just be aware of that you might get external sources when you're using, well, you are going to get external sources when you're using work chat unless you turn it off. Okay, so next I want to remind you about how important it is to make sure you are saving your files in the right location. Can I do, what does that look like? Oh no, don't like that one. How about that? Okay. Just playing around here. Okay, so I can't tell you how many clients I work with that are still having trouble with employees saving their individual files or actually team files to OneDrive. Any file that you individually work on, that you're working on here, well, traditionally prior to cloud would be stored in desktop and documents and so on. Now, and then you have team documents, which traditionally would have been stored in network drives. Now the goal is to make sure your individual files, and Microsoft calls them personal files, but I'm not talking about the letter to grandmother. These are files that you work on internally that are only yours, and you can definitely share them. But the beauty of this is that they show up on your mobile device and they show up in the cloud, and if you have to switch computers, like I have a Mac and a PC, and if I had to get a new computer because all my files are in OneDrive, I simply get a new computer, all my files are restored there because we're using OneDrive. That's the goal. Remember this as you're working on a document, if that file you're planning on sharing with the team, let's say a project postmortem, maybe it's a status report or whatever, if you know that people are going to need that document if you're out of the office, that is indication that that document needs to be stored in Teams. And if you don't know how to store documents in Teams, then we have some previous episodes that show you how to do that. So look at the file storage episodes that we have on Future Ready Friday. So if you're going to be out of the office and someone needs access to the file, that indication, green lighting, needs to go into Teams. And then the back end of everything is SharePoint. So ideally, and then the other question is, so the number one question I get is, what's the difference between OneDrive, Teams, and SharePoint? OneDrive is for your own files. Team files is for your team files. SharePoint is the back end of everything. Also, your company policies, holiday schedule, any organizational files will be stored in SharePoint. Your marketing collateral, the templates, branding guidelines, those will be all stored in SharePoint. Now, OneNote is not a file storage, it is an information storage. So you would actually create a OneNote for yourself, and that would be stored in OneDrive. A team notebook where the whole team needs access to it, that would be stored in Teams, and an organizational-wide notebook would be stored in SharePoint. So hopefully that is clear. When you're using Copilot, it is going to search all of this stuff that you have access to it. So if you put a team file in your OneDrive file, then your colleague is searching for that information, the project brief that you created. They're not going to have visibility, and they also anything on the network drive will not have visibility by Copilot. So it is really important that we start saving, that we from this point forward start saving our documents in the right place. So I'm not going to actually do any prompting today within Copilot, the work chat. I'm just going to show you some example prompts because I really want to spend most of the time in Outlook. So here are some example work chats, and let me get bigger here. And so things like prepare. I want you to think about like the difference between a work toggle chat and a web chat. Prepare for my 3 p.m. meeting today obviously is a work chat. It's based on information that is available to me. What is the MOSCP acronym? This is a game changer for anyone that's starting a job at a new company. You no longer have to ask someone, what is that? What are these acronyms people keep asking? People keep saying. You can just ask Copilot what the acronym is. What is the staff holiday schedule for 2026? Now, this is an example of why it's important to save your specific files. If you're in charge of communicating the holiday schedule for 2026, please do not save that file in your OneDrive because then employees won't have it. You want to save something like this on a SharePoint site. Maybe it's in a document, in a memo that was sent out, or maybe in a communications that was sent out. But it needs to be stored somewhere in SharePoint, not in OneDrive and not in Teams, because Teams is limited to departments and projects and different groups. So staff holiday schedule, that needs to be stored in SharePoint. What is our social media policy? Can I post on LinkedIn? That's an important question for employees to ask and know the answer to. That is information that needs to be stored in SharePoint. What are our brand colors and hex codes, and what font should I use for corporate documents? Marketing, make sure that's stored on the intranet. Anything that you want employees to be able to access, intranet. What is the latest from Jennifer White? Jennifer White was my 5th grade best friend back in the 1900s. So what is the latest from Jennifer White? Because I'm a colleague of Jennifer internally, I can definitely ask that question. In any kind of interaction that I've had with Jennifer, whether it's meetings or emails or documents that we've been collaborating in, will give you that information. where can I find the latest business travel guidelines? I don't know why there's 2 question marks, but I actually think that's not a great prompt. It should be, what is the business travel guidelines for international flight, or something like that. I would be more specific. Give me a list of action items for my latest performance review. Yeah, let's look at my performance review. Let's create some OKRs, or create a plan for me to meet my performance review objectives for the next year. What are our 2026 corporate objectives and corporate values? Summarize this job description. Like, summarize my job description. Suggest how Copilot can support me in this role. If you're just starting out, this is a great prompt. What meetings do I have today? So I said this in the previous episode, get a Post-it note and write, how can Copilot help me with this? And anytime you're going throughout your day, I want you to look at that Post-it note, and then it will help you come up with these prompts. You could also do the same thing with the Copilot mobile app. So we talked about this last episode. So simply just make sure you are on the work toggle, and any of those prompts that I showed you on the previous slide, I can definitely just ask while I'm on the go. And then it will show up in my conversation history on the left, those little 3 lines over there. And when I'm at the desktop, I will have access to my conversation history. Again, here are the ways these are the 2 different Copilot mobile apps. When you see that Microsoft 365 Copilot name, that means it's a work version of Copilot, or school, depending on which one you're logging into. And then this Microsoft Copilot is a personal version. So this is the one you're looking for, because we're talking about work chat today, and the reason why you want a Copilot license. So Cynthia's asking, is SharePoint still the back end of all Teams sites? SharePoint is the back end of OneDrive and Teams. So think of Teams as the front end. And let me go back here. So Teams is the front end. This is where all the interaction is, Teams meetings, the workspaces, the discussions, the files. That's the front end. SharePoint is the back end of everything. Your OneDrive location in the organization is actually a SharePoint library that only you could see. Well, IT can see it as well. So everyone has their own private document library on the corporate SharePoint site, and that front end is called OneDrive. So these are the front end. SharePoint is the back end of everything. Thank you for asking, Cynthia. Woohoo! Denise said, how do I get back over here? Denise says she's finally moving to Microsoft 365 Outlook on Monday. Nice, Denise, congratulations. Oof. So the beauty of Denise showing up every single time to Future Ready Friday, now that her organization is moving to the latest and greatest version of these applications, she's ready. That's what I love about this. Is Future Ready Friday, and this is a perfect example of that. Perfect. All right, let's look at Outlook. So I want to show you, I'm going to be in New Outlook or Outlook on the web. If you want me to show you what this looks like in Classic Outlook, just remind me at the end during the Q&A, and I will put the screenshots for Classic Outlook. But since this is Future Ready Friday, I want to show you the future, what's currently, where we're going. And so this is Luca's inbox. I'm just looking at the inbox view, and I'm going to show you the 3 areas where Copilot shows up. I'm only going to show you a few things in Outlook. So the summary by Copilot, you can see that icon there. I see this icon here, which will open up the task pane, which will show the work and web chat and conversation history. And I also have the Copilot icon over here. And this will actually change from the inbox to the Copilot view, where I'll see the work and web toggles. So summary by Copilot is the one we're going to focus on today. When I open a message, so when you double click and open a message, I see summary by Copilot, and I also see that toggle here. When I click on it, it will open up the task pane with the work and web toggle. When I hit reply to a message, I see the Copilot icon that would open up the task pane. I see draft with Copilot, which is the Alt-I keyboard combination. At the very bottom, I see the suggested replies. So those are 3 ways that I can see Copilot within a message. So what I'm going to do is show you 3 things. I love working in 3s. I'm going to show you how to summarize an email. just a hot email. You know those emails where you're like, hey, where you're on fire, you're like so angry. So I'm going to show you how to calm down in an email and then how to reply on a mobile device. So I'm going to go into the new Outlook, and here is this one right here. So I just simply opened, you know, those situations where you don't need to look at the email just yet. You know, those situations where somebody brings you in, like there's this conversation going back and forth, and all of a sudden somebody loops you in and says, hey, Lori, what do you think about this? And now Lori, you now have to look at the whole thread and spend time just getting updated on what's going on. So it would be nice if someone said, hey, Lori, what do you think we should do? Option 1, option 2, option 3, and actually describe the options. But people don't do that. They just simply loop you and go, hey, what do you think? So what I'm going to show you is how Copilot can help you with this. Is remember that posted, how can Copilot help me? So this is site visit confirmation. Luca's been looped in. Anna's actually asked him for for specific information, but if he wanted to get up to date, up to speed on this thread, he could say summary by Copilot. Now I opened the message. I didn't have to open the message because when you read it in the reading pane, you'll see the summary by Copilot. So I'm going to go ahead and hit summary by Copilot, and let's see. Someone says they feel seen. I don't know which one. Oh, I think looping in. I think the whole thing about being looped in. Yeah, I hear it. And yeah, 3 points. You know what, Denise, the whole 3 thing. So I'm an improv comedy performer, a former one. And that's what the rule of 3s. Our brains work in 3s. So that's why people do it. Okay, so it's not doing a summary. So let's try, let me do this. See how impressed you guys are? Isn't that awesome? Okay, let me go here, and I am gonna just say summary by Copilot and see if it'll work. Cool, this one worked better. So it's just saying, Anna asked to summarize the latest change orders. You provide a summary. Vickie requested information. So it just gave me a summary of what was happening back and forth. So that's the first thing I would do. If you haven't even started using Copilot within Outlook, or you haven't been doing the summary, be sure to just start summarizing your emails. And what I definitely want you to do is summarize emails where you already know the context. That way you can get confidence that the summaries are accurate. Because a lot of times I'll have clients ask me, how do you know that the summary is correct? Start using the summary on emails that you're very, very familiar with, and then that way you can gain confidence and you can start trusting Copilot that it's going to give you a summary for an email that you're not familiar with. So that's the first thing. The second thing I want to do is I want to show you a hot email, and this is Luca is upset with David. David's, we expected delivery last week. This delay is unacceptable. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight this, and there's the Copilot icon here. And what do I want to change? So I can auto rewrite, and I can say make it shorter, make it longer, change the tone. If I click here, it'll give me some options. But I might say, let me just see auto rewrite for a second and just show you what would happen, and give you an explanation of how to get back to a previous auto rewrite. So so it's saying, we expected delivery last week. This delay is unacceptable. It is offering, we were expecting delivery last week, and this delay, well, that didn't really do, like, that didn't help. So I'm going to say, make it more professional. We anticipated delivery last week, and the current delay is unacceptable. Let's say, make it longer. I just want to give you some options here. Okay. We had planned to receive the delivery last week, and the current delay is causing significant inconvenience. It's essential that we receive the shipment promptly to avoid further disruptions. Please prioritize this matter. It's still quite angry. But what I want to show you, and you can keep prompting it. So I might say, like, be kind, or usually when I say make it professional, it will tone it down quite a bit. But you can play around with it. And so when you are angry at someone, go ahead and don't put anybody in the to field. So if you still need to get something out and just you'll feel better about just getting out how you're feeling, go ahead and do it, and then have Copilot make it all more professional. So here's what I wanted to show you is that if I wanted to go back to a previous suggestion, I can go back to number 2 or to the original one that I said auto rewrite, or I can go back here. Now I can say replace, so it'll replace the current one, or I can say insert below, or I can discard. So I can say insert below, and then that way I have my original, and then I have this option here, so I can grab a few items from this option and then draft my email. Whatever you do, please do not hit send without reviewing what Copilot creates for you, because I know from my clients that people are loving this, but they aren't reviewing what's being sent, and they're relying too much on AI. So you're going to use AI, Copilot, as your thought partner, but you are responsible. When you hit send, you're responsible for the information you're sending. It is your brand, your reputation the minute you hit send. So just make sure that is what you want to send out. The last thing I want to show you is replying from a mobile device. And this is what I use more often, is because I'm always on the go. So Lucas sent me an email saying, Vickie, let's see if I can zoom this in. Thanks for asking me to moderate the MOS webinar with you on November 25th. I'd love to understand what's expected. Please let me know your thoughts. So then what I did was I'm going to click reply. So I'm going to click reply on here. I hit reply all, and then click Copilot icon or draft a Copilot. So there is a Copilot icon right here, right there, or I can click draft with Copilot. So either one of those works. And when I did that, now I could use the suggested prompt options here, or if you'll notice, see blinking cursor next to Copilot icon in the list. So here's the list, and there's a blinking cursor. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on my down here on the phone's microphone. So, and then now it's listening to me, and I'm going to start dictating what I want to say to this, because I'm on the go. I'm not going to say I'm driving, because I shouldn't be driving, but maybe I'm hiking or something, or maybe I'm at a conference. So I then go in, I say, tell Copilot what you want to say, and then click the arrow to submit to Copilot. So I just started dictating what I wanted, and then I'm going to click on this blue arrow here when I'm done, and then wait for Copilot. And what Copilot's going to just start magically filling in. Hi, Luca. I'm thrilled you'll be facilitating the MOS webinar. You can see the M dash here, which I'm not a fan of M dashes, but you can see this is Copilot view version 1 of the email draft composed by Copilot and you. Now, what I do, because this is a long email, this is longer than usual, because a lot of times I'll just do a short response. This one, I want to be intentional with how I respond. So I am going to close this message and save the draft for review, or I could sit here and edit and send if I wanted to, but please do not just send it without reviewing. So, so I'm going to click that little close box. And then when I do, it then becomes a draft, so that when I'm back at my computer, or when I'm at a place where I have more attention and focus, then I can go in and edit it. I certainly would not send without reviewing. So the draft is saved, and then I can go back to my drafts folder. So that is Outlook web app. The next thing I want to show you is Copilot in Teams, in your Teams meeting. This is another game changer. You'll see the Copilot icon here, and it only works internally. So if you and I, like Lori's external to Red Cape, if I'm on a meeting with Lori, and it's my meeting, I will start the Copilot icon to start transcribing it. Lori will not be able to do that, but I can certainly send her the recap afterwards. So I just want to use Copilot. So let's say you're using it internal. So if you're internal, like this is an internal meeting, go ahead and hit Copilot. And then a Copilot chat pane will pop up, similar to the Teams meeting chat. And you can do any of these any of these prompts. Let's say you're 5 minutes late to the meeting and you're like, what is happening? What are we doing? You could say, recap the meeting so far, list any action items, generate meeting notes. What are outstanding questions? You might even say, I want to contribute to this meeting. What questions should I ask? And then Copilot will give you suggested questions. Are there any conflicting discussion points? Just start asking Copilot. And when you do, nobody in the meeting can see what you're asking Copilot. It's just a one-on-one conversation with Copilot. Sometimes you'll think, oh, this is the chat feature. If someone goes, yeah, can you send me that link? And then you'll accidentally send Copilot the link that you really want to send via the chat. So the Copilot chat window is different than the Teams meeting chat. That's a separate button, so you'll have to go, you flip back and forth. This assures you that you're the only one, that the Copilot is the only one that can see it. In the meeting at the end, the last thing I'm going to show you is when you go to your Teams chat area, and you'll notice these, anytime you see that purple, the chat icon, purple icon in chats, that means it's a Teams meeting. And you can also filter on meeting chats by itself. So if we go back to a meeting chat, then you can see the Copilot icons here. So the one on the far right is specific to this meeting. You click on that, and then you'll get the same Copilot chat that was inside the meeting, and you'll get some view prompt suggestions, and you can ask for a meeting recap. You can also, if I'm on a client meeting, I could say, help me draft an email recapping the meeting and next steps. And I even ask it like, okay, now I need to create the statement of work whenever we're talking about a particular training project. So what I want you to do is master the following in your Teams meetings: recap the meeting, list action items. These are the different prompts. You can even say, what is that acronym that David just said? So you can mention that. And then after the meeting, recap, draft a follow-up email. What are my tasks? And that way, and if you want, like if you love writing notes, you can upload your notes, take a picture of your notes, upload your notes to Copilot. So it also has your notes and it knows what you thought was really important. So that is it. It is the top of the hour. I am going to give you some upcoming event information. I think last week I said I had a big announcement. It's actually on November. Bonnie and I have a big announcement on November 17th. That is this coming Monday. So we'll be sending, if you're on our list, you'll get an email at 7 a.m. Eastern. We'll be sending that out about our B2A workshops in 2026. And then we'll be posting on LinkedIn at 8 a.m. Eastern about the big announcement on Monday, November 17th. So check that out. And I'm having a Moss webinar. If you've been interested in becoming the subject matter expert in your office or creating a team of experts in your office, I'm going to be talking about the benefits and the process to get certified in Microsoft 365, which will amplify your work with Copilot. And we are changing from, what's different is we're changing, instead of an open enrollment throughout the year, we're going to have only 3 enrollment periods, 3 different cohorts throughout the year, so that we can onboard everybody at the same time and make sure everyone's ready to start prepping for the first exam in 30 days. So that is coming up on redcapeco.com/moss. That'll be live in November on the Tuesday before Thanksgiving. So it's for 2025, that's November 25th. 2025, oh, I just realized that. And then we'll post the replay to the webinar on this Moss page. So that's where you can go register for that webinar about Moss certification. And I think that's it. I want to go ahead and open it up for Q&A. Let me go ahead here. The hot email, yes. And it looks like, okay, we don't have any questions. Oh, do you guys want me, I do want to show you how to access, since I don't see any questions in the queue, I do want to show you where Copilot is in Classic Outlook, in case some of you are still in, actually there's quite a few of you still in Classic Outlook. I'm in the inbox. This is Luca's inbox. Classic Outlook has the summarize button here and then has the Copilot task pane button on the top right-hand corner. So those are the two areas when you're looking at your inbox in Classic Outlook. When you open up a message, there are three ways you can use Copilot. You can see it, Copilot. So summarize is up here on the top right. Over here is the task pane. And then these are the suggested replies a la Copilot. And then when you reply to a message, there is the Copilot task pane. And then there is the Copilot helping you draft messages. And then there is the Alt-I keyboard shortcut. So I wanted to share that with you. All right, I think that's it, my friends. Let me go ahead and come over here. Well, we did it. It's 11:05 Central Time here in Austin, Texas. We did it around 30 minutes. Well, if there aren't any questions, I'll go ahead and release you to finish up your Friday. This concludes today's episode of Future Ready Friday. We'll be back next week for the 5th part in the 8-part series, and then we'll take a break for the Thanksgiving holiday. We will not have a Future Ready Friday episode on November 28th since it's the holiday, but thank you so much for attending today's episode. We'll see you on the next one. Have a great weekend, guys.